Hey guys, it's your favorite Donabout here, and this is actually going to be the episode crisscross being a bit early here. Considering the sheer fact that writing this out, I pretty much realized that, okay, I do have to switch some stuff out in order for other things to happen. So considering the sheer fact that Operation Dragonstorm went decently well here, I think you guys should enjoy this one. So without further ado, let us begin with part 4 of What If Balerion Wasn't Tier Prime, the episode Crisscross. This episode takes place or opens up in a different way here. We see Balerion doing his usual thing, up in the skies, this time without the kids here, and he's flying freely, doing what he normally does here. The Autobots have seen a time of peace, with Megatron having to, well, not only get the Terratech's warp blade in order to really recover himself here, but go back to the pits of Kaon and really evaluate himself here. He lost to a beast, something he's known to slay many times here. And so Megatron needed the courage, or at least a little reminder of who he once was. And so, with that being said here, what is Balerion doing? Well, flying around, having fun, forwarding those plans. No, I'm just joking. But he's flying around here. And so we pan over to something else, Mech. Keep in mind, Balerion was not around for Operation Breakdown or being in the convoy episode here. He's heard about Mech, but he doesn't know what they really look like here. So this will actually be his first experience. However, something else is happening here. Mech is hunting, and there's webbing around this canyon-like area. So Balerion does look around for a bit, doesn't see any human settlements or any humans camping around here, and well, Balerion flies down slowly, and cautiously here. And so he sees something. It's Airachnid here, and she's fending off these humans a lot more than the original here. You see, due to Balerion's interference in the episode Predatory here, he's kind of injured her badly due to his fire breath here. And so while Airachnid was able to recover somewhat, she's at a disadvantage as she still has injuries from him. So Balerion simply watches for a moment and observes from a decent distance, And so he watches as Airachnid not only tries to fend off the humans, but she gets caught and neutralized here. And so this is where Silas actually states that finally they got one here. And so as Balerion is listening in here, he feels something telling him to help her. He doesn't know why exactly he wants to, but for some reason he understands that these guys are bad, maybe even far worse than the Decepticons. And so with a lightning fast blitz, he flies down, crashes in front of Silas here, and simply using a wing, he simply blows them all away like they were nothing more than ants before taking Airachnid in his talon and flying off to a much more considerable distance here. And Silas is in awe. He's, I would probably say, kind of like a kid witnessing the very first Transformers toy they ever got here. Me personally, my first Transformers toy was 2007 Jazz. It was magnificent, with my second one being the Transformers Cybertron Starscream, and the giant version too. So the good old memories, right? You know, just getting your first Transformers toy, you're like, wow. So that will honestly be Silas's reaction here. And so Balerion getting Airachnid a decent distance here would actually place her down on a, I guess you could say, a much more open mountain area. And at first he thinks about killing her, but doesn't for some reason here. Maybe you could probably consider the sheer fact that she's already injured, and the sheer fact that he is a lot more honorable than a lot of the Autobots here. And considering he doesn't know Airachnid personally, he doesn't do it out of respect for her and pretty much out of, well, I guess you can say an interest on what's really happening. So he takes a moment to really, I guess you could say, examine Airachnid fully, realizing that she has a lot of spider-like features and she does have a bit of a more animalistic side to her. And so when Airachnid wakes up, she immediately jumps up the best she can before falling back down due to her injuries. And she says, "It's you." To which Balerion says, yeah, why were those humans hunting you? To which she says, haven't you heard about the stuff they did to Breakdown? They want Cybertronians, and thanks to you, I don't have a chance to really defend myself. To which Balerion states, yeah, well, you shouldn't have attacked his friends. To which, this is where Arachnid simply bites her tongue here. She understands that if she says something, I guess you can say, wrong, she understands Balerion might just chump her in half here. And so Arachnid decides to act something else here. What is he? And so, well, Balerion does explain it here, and explains it pretty simply. He is a mutant. And to which Arachnid simply looks at him and states, that's rare. To which he says, yeah, tell me about it. I had to find that out myself here. So Arachnid says, you have two beast forms? And he says, no, he has a giant form, but he only uses it when it's really needed. So right now, you're seeing him at a basic size, if you will. To which Arachnid does begin to feel a little bit intrigued here, but her injuries are a little bit too much at the moment here. And so Balerion actually has to save her again from Mech when helicopters come around looking for them here. They shoot these tagers at them here, but Balerion is actually able to not only get in front of Arachnid, but uses his wings to cover her. Arachnid is actually taken aback by this here and sees that Balerion is actively trying to protect her here. Using this moment, however, she uses it to scan one of Mech's helicopters, disabling them with one of the few weapons she actually has, her scanning. And considering the sheer fact that, again, we know that it does mess up technology, kind of interested on how they don't fall out of the sky when that happens. So, yeah, I guess you could say a slight change of things for Skyquake and the Skyquake incident. So Optimus or Balerion has to catch Agent Fowler, or basically Agent Fowler has to parachute out of it. So this happens the same thing with Mech here. So, yeah, it is what it is here, but again, changing the lore of the scanning mechanics is really not a big deal here. But again, she does use this along her webbing to disable the helicopters around them, and then Balerion decides to blast them out of the sky here. However, Mech still has other things. They have trucks, and in this one, I'm gonna say they have tanks as well here. And so Balerion has to play evasive here, grabbing Arachnid in his talons again, and using his wings to fly off in a incredible fashion here. He's avoiding all the blaster fire he can here while trying not to be an open target here. So he's basically flying in the trees with Arachnid in his talons. However, it becomes increasingly difficult and kind of funny where Arachnid's face pretty much begins to hit trees, rocks, and everything. And she says, "You fool, put me down." To which Balerion pretty much sees what's going on and says, "Oh, sorry." And so he throws her up, spins in the air, and lets her land on his back here in a way of, you know, Daenerys or any dragon rider in either How to Train Your Dragon or House of the Dragon, just, you know, riding on the back of their dragon without a saddle here. Which is honestly cool in my opinion. It's just way cooler than just, you know, whatchamacallit, just riding with a saddle in my opinion. You know, full bare skin. Well, oh, okay, well, no, pause on that one. Full primal way. Yeah, let's just say that, like in a primal fashion, excuse me. So with that being said here, what does Balerion do to pretty much escape Mech here? Well, he circles right back around and actually narrows his wings here. Arachnid actually observes this and actually sees that his wings are razor tipped here. This is how he's able to slice through things here. And so when he moves his wings into a certain position, this actually hardens the blade tips in his wings here, and you can actually see a silver like, or basically like this chrome outline with his wings here. And so he flies down and he spins here. Arachnid has to hold on for dear life as he becomes a shredder, shredding through the likes of the well, tanks and trucks here. And yeah, this does kill people. Let's just be kind of honest here. This is gonna, it's a shredder. And Arachnid is actually baffled by this as they take a moment to really reassess themselves. However, this is what leaves Balerion open to a tank shot that throws him out of the air and causes him to crash land. However, he positions Arachnid on his chest and pretty much shields her from the fall here. To which Arachnid is again in shock and is confused even more, stating that, "Why would you save me?" To which Balerion says he doesn't know exactly. But again, you're helpless, and it's his job to protect the helpless. Doesn't matter if they're Khan, and as he says this, he pretty much just gets up here, or Autobots, or human. He protects those that are helpless. To which Airachnid is somewhat moved by this, as she never considered herself to really be helpless. And with that being said here, Airachnid says something she never thought she would ever say to anyone, let alone an Autobot. And that's thank you. However, they're not out of the woodworks yet, as pretty much he senses more tanks coming in. And so, looking at his side here, he sees that his wing is slightly injured, but not too much to where he can't fly. And pretty much says that Ratchet's going to be pissed about this here. And so, with that being said, not wanting to risk the injury of his wing here, Balerion just tells Airachnid to hop on his back, and he simply runs off here. If I had to describe the way he would run, it's similar to a velociraptor. But again, he's a very big velociraptor, if you will, here, you know? So it's just like, he's incredibly fast and agile, and utilizing his fire breath, he's actually able to take out any of the Mech's trucks that simply come his way here. Airachnid also adds to the fray with actually webbing some of the trucks here and utilizing her webbing to even pull down trees in a, I guess you could say, in somewhat of a Spider-Man-like fashion here, and even create nets so that they can escape here. And so they're both actually enjoying themselves here. They're enjoying the time they have together, which is a strange feeling for Airachnid. She actually enjoys being around someone here. And this someone is her enemy, or at least she thought here. She's so confused about the situation, but she's enjoying herself at this moment here. And so Balerion finds himself stuck at a cliff here and decides that he is just going to have to glide it down here. To which Airachnid asks him, what's the difference? And he says, you're going to have to hang on and see. To which Balerion jumps off the cliff, dives down, and then spreads his wings at the last minute and pretty much flies similar to like a... honestly, pretty similar to like a Nargacuja, if you will here. He maintains a steady glide on the way down and then lands gently enough here. It's still a rocky landing, but still enough here. And so Silas has to look over the cliff here and, well, simply tells Mech to open fire with everything they got here. And so Mech simply points all their tanks, all their truck cannons down, even their regular pea shooters and blasters for the ground troops here, and they open fire on this forest here. Balerion, not really having too much of a choice and continues running here, tries to evade as much of the blast as he can here, but he simply trips. And well, when the blast actually catches him, and it knocks him and Airachnid temporarily down here. However, Airachnid is knocked out cold here. And so Balerion looks concerned, understanding that Airachnid is still alive, but he understands that he's gonna have to, well, fight fire with fire in this situation. And so Balerion transforms into his giant form. Again, around the same size as the likes of Omega Supreme and the Combiners here. And so Silas is in shock by this, but again, he looks at it as if it's something beautiful here. And so Balerion, spines on his back, begins to glow. In a reminiscence of Godzilla 2014, we see it from his tail leading all the way up to his neck, and then you see it in his chest as the fire simply comes up, and with one great roar, he blasts it out here and incinerates any of the Mech soldiers that were not in the clear at this moment here. And so, with that being said here, Silas is able to make it out, but his face is burnt here, and the soldiers have to carry him out of here. And he says, oh, so beautiful, so much power. When I recover, you're going to be the best experiment I have ever had. And so, with that being said here, Silas and Mech retreat with their remaining and surviving troops here. And Balerion reverts back to his robot mode, or more, sorry, not robot mode, his smaller form here. Again, just a reminder, it's around the same size as Predaking in his robot form here. So you could probably say slightly smaller than his beast form, but again, his beast form was more broader, if you will, here, if you get what I mean. But again, he's around the same size as, like, Predaking overall here in his smaller form here. And so when he looks at Airachnid, he thinks to himself, what could he do? What could he really do to help her here? She helped him, even saved him even. And so he touches his communicator and says, Ratchet, he needs a ground bridge. Hearing the, I guess you could say, confusion and in somewhat the pain in his voice, Ratchet opens the ground bridge and tells the Autobots to get the medical bay ready. To which, this is where Balerion walks in with Airachnid unconscious and over his shoulder here. And so he says, please do not freak out. And he says this while looking at Optimus here. To which the Autobots are simply confused at the moment here. And so when Balerion gently grabs Airachnid with his jaws and places her down, RC looks at him in anger. You brought her here? How dare you? And she even threatens to blast both of them here. She says, you know what she did? To which Balerion looks at her in honest confusion rather than fear and says, no. What? You never told me what she did. To which RC in that moment realizes that they never really bonded. Balerion's only close bond is really with Bulkhead, but again, none of the Autobots have bothered to really share their history with him. He shared everything with them, but they haven't with him here. And to which Optimus does tell RC to stand down and, well, assess the situation. However, right now, Optimus does state that they have 2 patients in need here. To which RC says, 2? And Ratchet says, yeah, 2? To which this is where Balerion says that he'll be fine. He's stronger than he looks. But right now, he wants Airachnid to be the first one to get fixed here. And they can simply, cuff her afterwards here. To which Optimus does agree. And so, with that being said here, Airachnid is pretty much taken to the medical bay by Bumblebee, while Bulkhead helps stabilize Balerion, who has used all of his strength here to not only get Airachnid out to safety, but to support himself here. And so when Balerion is laid down, Ratchet works on him first here. Because in the sheer fact he does know his biology at this point here, or at least has studied him enough to know his biology, Balerion's repairs are actually not too bad here. He does have to repair his wing and says that, have you ever thought about reinforcing the more vulnerable parts of your wings? And he says, yeah, but he doesn't know what to reinforce them with. To which Ratchet says he's got a few ideas, but for right now, recover. And you're probably going to be benched for a little bit here. So you won't be flying around in the skies freely here. To which Balerion rolls his eyes and Miko simply groans or, awes in protest here, because again Balerion did promise to fly them all again. And so with that being said, Ratchet begins to repair Airachnid. He does repair her spider-like appendages and stuff there, but again does not repair the more sharper tips of her appendages here. Basically, Airachnid's appendages are part of a helicopter, so he simply takes away the more pointy parts of her, I guess you could say, her legs here. And so Airachnid's repairs do take at the very least a day, because Ratchet's repairing Mech's damage and Balerion's damage, plus the damage that just wasn't even fixed properly. So Airachnid does make a recovery. However, when she wakes up cuffed and within a cell here. And so the first person she sees when she wakes up is Balerion. And believe it or not, Airachnid is pretty calm here. And she asks him, you didn't. To which Balerion says, yeah, so I found out what you did, and, wow, maybe I shouldn't have saved you. To which this actually does slightly hurt Airachnid a bit here, but again, she tries to hide it, stating that, okay, I admit, I've done some horrible things here, but when you're working for someone like Megatron, that's kind of part of the job here. The same way you Autobots are always so noble and honorable, right? To which Balerion understands what Arachnid is saying and simply nods his head. Yeah, okay, fair point here. But again, you've done a lot of harm, and I saved you. So here's my question. If I let you go, will you harm the Autobots? Will you harm me? To which Arachnid, for the first time, is considering something. He helped her. He saved her. She thanked him and was actually grateful. And so Balerion sees this and tells her, consider it. So Balerion leaves and he does apologize to RC. However, RC doesn't blame him and says that they should have communicated. They all should have here. And, does make a joke at Bumblebee considering the fact that he lost his void box. But, again, they do understand that Balerion is a part of Team Prime. And he made a decision that, showed his gratitude to even an enemy. And so, this is where Optimus walks in with Airachnid. Or walks in on Airachnid, who's sitting in the corner simply contemplating her entire choices here. Her confusion and everything. And Optimus states that if she would, she could join them. Now again, trust is earned, Airachnid. But again, I do believe in second chances. And you could earn it. Because if Balerion saved you, that means you are something special and likely worth that second chance. And so Optimus says that he'll probably visit her when he's not busy. But until then, please consider his offer. And so with that, Optimus leaves here to actually go and conversate with the Autobots about their communication skills. And now the Autobots are bonding with Balerion, telling him their stories, or telling him, they're telling him his stories, excuse me. And that's where we're going to leave it off here today, you guys. What's going to happen next time? What is going to happen with Airachnid now that she's really thinking about what she's done? And the sheer fact that Balerion, an Autobot, a noble Autobot, chose to save her. Despite this sheer fact, he may not have known what she did. But the sheer fact that she's even given a second chance at redemption here. So, that's where we're going to leave it off here today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.